Good day. There are 10 top headlines today. Here's the details.
First headline: Road accident in Nigeria kills at least 30 people. At least 30 people were killed and several others injured in a fatal road crash on Sunday in Kano State's Jizawa local government area after a truck trailer lost control on a highway in Kwara and crashed, according to state authorities. The truck, which was carrying passengers and goods towards Gujungu town, reportedly veered off the road due to reckless driving and lost control before the collision. Emergency responders rushed the injured to hospitals, where many are being treated for serious injuries, while authorities worked to clear the scene and identify the victims. Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf described the crash as a heartbreaking tragedy for the families and the wider community, renewing calls for stricter adherence to traffic laws and better road safety measures. Note, the Federal Road Safety Corps, or FRSC, later reported a different figure, confirming 7 deaths and about 70 injuries, saying this number was based on on-the-ground assessment.
Second headline: Kwankwaso no longer a member of the NNPP. Party disowns former presidential candidate. The NNPP has officially disowned Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, its former presidential candidate in the 2023 general elections, saying he is no longer a member of the party. The party's leadership distanced itself from Kwankwaso after comments he made claiming to have facilitated a meeting between Governor Abba Yusuf and some Supreme Court judges in 2019, which the NNPP rejected and said had nothing to do with the party. NNPP officials clarified that Kwankwaso was not a member of the party at the time of the alleged incident and urged groups like the Nigerian Bar Association to remove the NNPP's name from petitions linking the party to the controversy. The statement stressed that Kwankwaso's recent remarks and actions were personal and not on behalf of the party.
Third headline: El-Rufai alleges Nigeria's security focus has shifted from citizens to power holders. Former Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasir Ahmad El-Rufai has warned that Nigeria's national security apparatus is increasingly being used not to protect ordinary citizens, but to defend those in political power. In a statement posted on Facebook titled "National Security, Justice, and the People's Well-Being, Reclaiming the Purpose of Power," El-Rufai argued that security and justice institutions such as the police, DSS, EFFC, and ICPC are being deployed selectively against critics and political opponents rather than addressing real threats like terrorism and violent crime. He said this shift undermines public trust, weakens institutions, and diverts attention away from genuine security challenges, urging a return to a people-centered, constitution-based security framework where agencies serve the state and citizens rather than incumbents.
Fourth headline: We stand with you. Northern Can commiserates with Muslim Ummah over Kwara Massacre. The Christian Association of Nigeria in the 19 northern states and the Federal Capital Territory has expressed deep sympathy to the Muslim Ummah and the families of victims of the deadly terrorist massacre in Kwara State, where more than 100 people were reportedly slaughtered by extremists in villages like Woro and Nuku. Northern Can said it, quote, stands with the Muslim community in this time of grief, condemning the violence and mourning the loss of innocent lives. The association's message emphasized solidarity across faiths, urging unity and support for all Nigerians affected by the attack, and highlighting the need for peace and collective condemnation of such brutal acts of violence.
Fifth headline: IPOB announces end to Monday shutdowns in Southeast, cites directive from Nnamdi Kanu. The Indigenous People of Biafra, or IPOB, has officially and permanently canceled its long-running Monday sit-at-home shutdowns across Nigeria's southeast region, with the change taking effect from Monday, February 9th, 2026. The group's spokesperson, Emma Powerful, said the decision was made following a direct order from IPOB's detained leader, Nnamdi Kanu, urging residents to resume normal activities, including opening markets, going to work, and sending children to school without fear or intimidation. IPOB stated that the shutdown, which began in 2021 as a protest linked to Kanu's arrest and detention, no longer has any justification, and that anyone trying to enforce it now would be acting against Kanu's directive. The announcement is expected to help restore economic, educational, and social life in the region after years of disruptions.
Sixth headline: Senate schedules urgent plenary to revisit controversial Electoral Act changes. The Nigerian Senate has announced an emergency plenary session for Tuesday, February 10, 2026, set to begin at 12 noon, following growing public outrage over recent amendments to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The emergency meeting was directed by Senate President Godswill Akpabio and communicated in a notice signed by the Clerk of the Senate, Emmanuel Odo. The reconvened sitting comes just days after the Senate passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill but faced widespread backlash, especially over its rejection of a clause that would have mandated real-time electronic transmission of election results, a change many civil society groups, unions, and citizens criticized as undermining election transparency. The emergency session is widely seen as an effort to address the controversy and possibly reconsider contentious provisions that have sparked protests and calls for credible electoral reforms ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Seventh headline: Serap petitions CCB over alleged abuse of office in Electoral Act Amendment and tax reform laws. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has formally written to the Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB, asking it to investigate members of the Senate and other public officers over alleged abuse of office and breaches of due process related to recent changes to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and the tax reform laws. SERAP claims that provisions on electronic transmission of election results were removed from the Electoral Act Amendment after a majority of senators had voted for them and without proper debate during plenary, raising concerns of conflict of interest and erosion of constitutional standards for public officers. The group also wants the CCB to probe alleged alterations to the tax reform bills that reportedly resulted in discrepancies between the versions passed by the National Assembly and the versions later signed into law and gazetted by the federal government. In its petition dated 7 February 2026 and signed by Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare, SERAP stressed that these alleged actions could amount to abuse of office, non-disclosure of interests, and other violations of the Code of Conduct for Public Officers as enshrined in the Constitution and relevant laws.
Eighth headline: Court jails ex-Nexim Bank MD, Oria, 490 years for $2.4 billion fraud. A Federal Capital Territory FCT High Court in Abuja has convicted and sentenced Robert Oria, the former managing director of the Nigerian Export-Import Bank, Nexim, to a cumulative 490 years in prison for his role in a 2.4 billion naira fraud case. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, ECFC, secured the conviction on Thursday, February 5, 2026, after a prolonged trial over multiple financial crime charges related to his tenure at the bank.
Justice F.E. Masiri of the FCT High Court found Oria guilty on 49 counts, sentencing him to 10 years imprisonment on each count to run concurrently. The charges included criminal breach of trust, misappropriation, abuse of office, and official corruption tied to funds allegedly diverted while he led Nexim. The verdict is seen as a significant enforcement action against high-level financial malpractice in Nigeria's banking sector.
Ninth headline: Actress Angela Okori publicly apologizes to Mercy Johnson after arrest linked to online feud. Nollywood actress Angela Okori has issued a public apology to fellow actress Mercy Johnson following her recent arrest and detention in connection with an online feud between them. Okori was taken into custody by police over alleged cyber-related offenses tied to inflammatory social media posts she made about Johnson and was remanded at the Suleja Correctional Center before being released on bail. In a heartfelt video shared online, Okori withdrew her past accusations, including calling Johnson a witch, expressed regret for her actions, and asked for forgiveness, saying she wants peace and reconciliation. She acknowledged that her previous statements were hurtful, promised to avoid further public conflict, and emphasized that her intention is not to harm Johnson or her family.
10th headline: Haaland scores winner as Man City fight back to beat Liverpool. Manchester City staged a dramatic 2-1 comeback victory over Liverpool at Anfield in the English Premier League on Sunday, 8 February 2026, with Erling Haaland converting a stoppage-time penalty to seal the win. Liverpool had taken the lead in the 74th minute through Dominic Szoboszlai's stunning long-range free kick, but City responded late when Bernardo Silva equalized in the 84th minute following a Haaland flick-on. In added time, a foul on Mateus Nunes by Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson earned City a penalty, and Haaland smashed home the spot kick in the 90-plus third minute to complete the turnaround, his first goal at Anfield and only his second Premier League strike since Christmas. The win kept City in the title race, cutting the gap on leaders Arsenal, and marked one of their few victories at Anfield in recent years. That wraps up today's news. If you found this update useful, please like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for accurate and timely news. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update.